You know that iconic villain Bolo from Enter the Dragon? Well, what if I told you he actually challenged Bruce Lee to multiple real fights during filming, and it completely changed the movie we all know and love? Two martial arts legends, backstage drama, and a rewritten script because one fighter just couldn't handle losing. This is the untold story of what really went down between Bruce Lee and Bolo Yeung. Let's start from the beginning. Bolo Yeung wasn't just some random bodybuilder they cast as a villain. Born Yeung-si in 1946, this guy was the real deal. He started learning Kung Fu at just 10 years old in Canton, mastering Tai Chi and Wing Chun under several different masters. But here's where it gets interesting. After moving to Hong Kong to escape the famine and political chaos in mainland China, Bolo discovered bodybuilding. And we're not talking about casual gym sessions. In 1970, he became Mr. Hong Kong and held that title for an incredible 10 straight years. Shaw Brothers Studios took one look at his muscular frame and immediately cast him as the bad guy in films like The Heroic Ones and The Deadly Duo. But Bolo's big break came from the most unexpected place, a cigarette commercial. That's right, Bruce Lee and Bolo Yeung first met while filming a Winston cigarettes ad. Can you imagine being a fly on the wall for that conversation? Two future martial arts legends probably had no idea they were about to make cinema history together. Bruce saw something in Bolo and personally invited him to star in Enter the Dragon. This is where Bolo got his famous nickname. It was actually the name of his character in the film. The two became close friends during production, spending hours working on techniques together. Years later, Bolo would say something that gives you chills. "There will never be another Bruce Lee. I am privileged to have had the honor of calling him my friend." But before all that respect and friendship, there was drama. Serious drama. The incident that started everything happened at a bar. Someone asked the question that probably everyone was thinking. If Bruce Lee and Bolo fought for real, who would win? Bruce's answer: it wouldn't even be fair. His reasoning was brutal and simple. He was a martial artist while Bolo was just a bodybuilder. Now, you have to understand how insulting this was to Bolo. This wasn't some random gym rat we're talking about. Bolo considered himself a Northern Eagle claw-style specialist first and foremost. He was a martial artist who happened to get into bodybuilding later, not the other way around. Bruce's comment hit Bolo like a slap in the face. So what did he do? He challenged Bruce Lee to a real fight right then and there. Big mistake. Bruce Lee defeated Bolo completely. But here's what makes Bruce Lee even more impressive. He didn't hold any grudges. Several years after embarrassing Bolo in that bar fight, Bruce actually called him up and offered him the role in Enter the Dragon. For Bolo, this movie wasn't just a career opportunity. It was his chance for revenge. Finally, he could settle the score with the man who had defeated and humiliated him years earlier. But if Bolo thought filming would give him that redemption, he was dead wrong. Throughout the entire production of Enter the Dragon, Bolo kept challenging Bruce Lee to fight. Not once, not twice, but countless times. And Bruce, confident in his abilities, accepted every single challenge. The result: Bruce Lee won every single time. Every single time. These weren't friendly sparring matches either. These were real confrontations with real consequences, and they started affecting the movie's production in a major way. When it came time to film the final fight scene, something unprecedented happened. Bolo flat out refused to fight Bruce Lee on camera. Think about that for a second. An actor refusing to film scenes with the star of the movie. Whether it was hurt pride from all those defeats or genuine fear of facing Bruce again, Bolo's refusal created a massive problem. The director had no choice but to completely rewrite the script. Instead of the epic Bruce Lee versus Bolo showdown that was originally planned, we got Bolo fighting John Saxon's character instead. But what would that original fight have looked like? Well, the movie actually gives us some clues. In one scene, we see Bruce and Bolo in a genuine one-on-one battle. Both fighters start by showcasing their striking techniques, each trying to overpower the other. But Bruce's focus and concentration were just on another level. When Bolo tried to throw Bruce down, Lee countered it like it was nothing. Bolo's kicks couldn't even connect. Then Bruce delivered a deadly kick that knocked Bolo unconscious. It was, by all accounts, spectacular. There's another scene where Bruce faces off against Bolo, but this time Bruce has a clone helping him. You'd think two Bruce Lees would dominate, right? Wrong. Bolo actually seemed to have the upper hand even when fighting both of them at once. For a moment, it looked like Bruce Lee might actually lose, but then something shifted. A combination attack from Bruce and his clone landed a powerful kick right to Bolo's face, and you could see the pain written all over his expression. In yet another confrontation, we see just how much punishment Bolo could take. The two fighters exchanged blow after blow in a fierce battle. At first, Bruce actually appeared overwhelmed by Bolo's raw strength. Several of Bolo's strikes connected directly, but Bruce refused to give up. He used tactical thinking to outwit his opponent, focusing his attacks on Bolo's injured leg until Bolo was forced to withdraw from the fight completely. Now, some people have always questioned whether Bruce Lee could really fight, or if he was just good at choreographed movie scenes. The man himself put those doubts to rest with several demonstrations. During one demonstration, someone else threw what looked like an ordinary punch. Then Bruce threw the same punch, and the difference was shocking. His punch sent the person stumbling back several feet. The power difference was undeniable. At another event, Bruce was asked to showcase his skills during an interview. He split a wooden board in half without even taking a running start. Then he demonstrated his kicking abilities, delivering strikes that were both precise and devastating. But let's get back to Bolo's story, because his career didn't end with Enter the Dragon. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, he appeared in numerous martial arts films, including several Bruceploitation movies like The Clones of Bruce Lee and Enter the Game of Death. He even tried directing, making his debut with Fists of Justice in 1977, but his real breakthrough in the West came with Bloodsport in 1988, where he played the villain Chong Li opposite Jean-Claude Van Damme. That movie, shot on just a $1.5 million budget, became a massive box office hit. Bolo and Van Damme developed such a strong friendship during filming that Van Damme specifically requested Bolo for his next film, Double Impact. Bolo continued working in Hollywood throughout the 1990s and beyond, appearing in films like Breathing Fire and Ironheart. He collaborated extensively with filmmaker Jalal Merhi on projects like the Tiger Claws series and TC-2000. What makes this whole story even more fascinating is the respect that developed between Bruce and Bolo despite their conflicts. Even after all those defeats and challenges, Bolo never spoke badly about Bruce Lee. If anything, he always praised Bruce's abilities and considered their friendship one of the highlights of his life. The tragedy is that we'll never know what that original Bruce Lee versus Bolo fight scene would have looked like. All that planning, choreography, and preparation went to waste because of hurt pride and repeated defeats. But in a way, the real story is more dramatic than anything they could have put on screen. Two martial arts legends, personal conflicts, multiple real fights, and a movie that had to be completely rewritten because one fighter couldn't handle losing. Bruce Lee's victory wasn't just physical, it was psychological. He dominated Bolo so completely that Bolo couldn't even pretend to fight him on camera anymore. That's the kind of mental dominance that separates true champions from everyone else. The behind-the-scenes drama of Enter the Dragon proves something important about Bruce Lee. He wasn't just a movie star or a martial arts choreographer. He was a legitimate fighter who could back up everything he showed on screen. As for Bolo, he eventually found his own path to success, becoming one of the most recognizable villains in martial arts cinema. His imposing physical presence and genuine martial arts skills made him perfect for bad guy roles, even if he could never quite measure up to Bruce Lee.
She's on the other line. She's gonna call me back. She's on the other line, gonna call me back.
Don't you have to pee?
Why I'm dancing.
Nice camouflage, man. For a minute there, I almost didn't see you.
Excuse me.
Nah.
Is your name Chandler?
Yes it is.
Chandler Bing.
Do you know me, or are you just really good at this game?
Was Matthew Perry's death an accident or the result of medical malpractice and exploitation? Matthew Perry didn't just overdose. He was systematically exploited by doctors who saw his addiction as a payday. One physician even called him a moron while illegally supplying him ketamine, despite nearly killing him with a dose. Now, with guilty pleas piling up and one key figure still awaiting trial, this case is exposing a dark, profit-driven underworld behind at-home mental health treatments, and it may have cost Perry his life. On October 28, 2023, the 54-year-old actor best known for his role as Chandler Bing on Friends was found face down in a hot tub at his Los Angeles home in Pacific Palisades. His sudden death shocked the world and left fans searching for answers. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office later revealed that Perry died due to the acute effects of ketamine, with drowning and coronary artery disease listed as contributing factors. At the time, Perry had been undergoing legal ketamine infusion therapy for depression, an increasingly common off-label treatment. However, the medical examiner clarified that the ketamine found in his system was not from his last supervised session, which had occurred more than a week before his death. Ketamine, originally used as a surgical anesthetic, has gained popularity in recent years for its off-label use in treating major depressive disorder and PTSD. Administered in clinics under medical supervision, ketamine can offer rapid relief for patients resistant to conventional antidepressants. Matthew Perry had been receiving this treatment through his regular physician, but due to strict medical guidelines, there were limits to how much ketamine he could be legally prescribed. Reports indicate that Perry, seeking higher doses than what his doctors allowed, began searching for alternative sources. This search eventually led to an illegal drug distribution network, which has now come under federal investigation. Authorities charged 5 individuals in connection with providing Perry the drugs that led to his death. 2 doctors, his personal assistant, a friend, and an alleged black market supplier. The investigation into Matthew Perry's death led to federal charges against 5 individuals who were allegedly involved in supplying him with illegal ketamine. Among them was Kenneth Iwamasa, Perry's personal assistant, who discovered the actor's body on the day of his death. Iwamasa has since pleaded guilty to the charges against him. Another key figure, Eric Fleming, a close friend of Perry's, also pleaded guilty and agreed to cooperate with prosecutors, offering information to help build the case against others involved. Meanwhile, Dr. Mark Chavez, a licensed physician, admitted to supplying ketamine and has also entered a guilty plea. One of the most high-profile defendants is Jasveen Sangha, a woman prosecutors allege sold Perry the fatal dose. Known by investigators as the Ketamine Queen, she is the only defendant who has not pleaded guilty and is currently awaiting trial, maintaining her not guilty plea. Lastly, there is Dr. Salvador Plasencia, whose central role in the chain of events has now been fully revealed. His recent guilty plea marks a significant turning point in the legal proceedings surrounding Matthew Perry's tragic death. Dr. Salvador Plasencia, a 43-year-old physician from Santa Monica, California, was not Matthew Perry's primary doctor. He was not treating Perry under any official capacity. However, prosecutors discovered that Plasencia began illegally supplying Perry with ketamine roughly 1 month before his death. In July 2025, Plasencia pleaded guilty to 4 federal counts of ketamine distribution in U.S. District Court in Los Angeles. Standing next to his attorney before Judge Sharon P. Scarnett, he admitted that he had illegally distributed the drug to Perry on multiple occasions. Court documents show that Plasencia provided 20 vials of ketamine totaling 100 milligrams, along with multiple ketamine lozenges and syringes used for at-home injections. At one point, Plasencia administered an injection himself, which led to a dangerous reaction. According to court testimony, Perry's blood pressure spiked and he froze up after receiving the dose. Despite witnessing this adverse event, Plasencia left more ketamine at Perry's residence for his assistant to inject later. Further investigation revealed that Plasencia enlisted another doctor, Mark Chavez, to help him source more ketamine. In one disturbing text message, Plasencia wrote to Chavez, "I wonder how much this moron will pay." This message, referenced in court by prosecutors, indicates a clear intent to exploit Perry financially, despite knowing about his addiction struggles. Plasencia later asked Chavez if they could keep supplying the actor regularly, aiming to become his go-to ketamine providers. The ketamine was sold to Perry for $4,500. Plasencia initially pleaded not guilty, but changed his plea as part of a deal with federal prosecutors. In exchange for admitting guilt, the prosecution agreed to drop 3 additional distribution charges and 2 counts of falsifying records. The guilty plea now exposes Plasencia to a maximum sentence of 40 years in federal prison, although legal analysts expect the sentence to be significantly lower. His sentencing hearing is scheduled for December 3, 2025. He has been free on bond since his arrest and will remain free until sentencing. Plasencia also agreed to voluntarily surrender his medical license and has already given up his authorization to prescribe controlled substances. According to his legal team, he intends to stop practicing medicine altogether. In a statement released to the press, his attorney Deborah White said, "Dr. Plasencia is profoundly remorseful for the treatment decisions he made while providing ketamine to Matthew Perry. He is fully accepting responsibility by pleading guilty to drug distribution. Dr. Placencia intends to voluntarily surrender his medical license, acknowledging his failure to protect Mr. Perry, a patient who was especially vulnerable due to addiction. Placencia's case brings renewed attention to the risks of at-home ketamine use, which has grown rapidly due to the demand for fast-acting mental health treatments. Critics argue that inadequate oversight, combined with the profit-driven motives of some medical professionals, has created an environment ripe for abuse. While Perry's official cause of death was listed as an accidental overdose, the court proceedings now reveal that those entrusted with his care may have failed to uphold basic medical ethics. One of them referred to him as a moron and saw his addiction as an opportunity for profit. These revelations have raised urgent questions about medical accountability, especially when treating high-profile patients with a history of substance abuse. The case also sheds light on the dangers of celebrity vulnerability. Perry, despite his fame and wealth, was seeking help for depression and addiction, yet those around him used his condition to make money. What began as a search for mental relief ended in a tragic death caused by a combination of negligence, greed, and systemic failure. The only defendant yet to be sentenced or reach a plea deal is Jasveen Sangha, the woman federal authorities believe sold Perry the final fatal dose, referred to in court as the ketamine queen. She is facing serious federal charges and is scheduled to stand trial next month. She has pleaded not guilty. Meanwhile, the public remains shaken by the unfolding case. For millions, Matthew Perry was more than an actor. He was a symbol of resilience, having spoken openly about his battle with addiction. In his 2022 memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, Perry wrote candidly about the over 60 times he had been in rehab and the medical complications he had suffered, including a near-death experience from opioid abuse. Many fans hoped that Perry had finally found peace in his later years, but instead, he became the victim of a system that allowed unscrupulous individuals to manipulate and endanger him. As each new court document is revealed and each guilty plea is entered, the full picture becomes clearer. Matthew Perry was not only battling addiction, he was also battling a network of enablers, including licensed professionals who failed in their duty of care. Now, as we await the final trial and the upcoming sentencing hearings, several important questions remain. Will the guilty parties face adequate consequences? Will there be reform in how at-home ketamine treatments are monitored? And will medical boards implement stricter guidelines for physicians handling vulnerable patients? Matthew Perry's death, once thought to be another tragic case of addiction, is now understood as a complex story of criminal negligence, ethical failure, and systemic weakness. The legal process may bring justice, but it cannot bring back a man who spent his life making others laugh, while quietly fighting battles of his own.
First, lovely to see you both.
Thank you.
Second, I've been worried about you. So let's start with how you are.
I want to put one thing straight. It's been put in the papers that they discovered I had Parkinson's when I had the fall. Well, I've known about the Parkinson's since 2003. I've had it all my life. And the Parkinson's I have, it's not like the Michael J. Fox one. What is it called, sir?
It's called Parkin2. It's a gene that Ozzy was born with. And of course, Ozzy couldn't get anything normal. It's very rare.
Ozzy Osbourne's final words to Sharon will break your heart. After decades of surviving addiction, betrayal, and near-death experiences together, what he confessed before passing left her shattered, and the world stunned. This isn't just about love, it's about what he could never say until the very end. The legendary rock icon Ozzy Osbourne and his wife Sharon share one of music's most enduring love stories. Their relationship spans over 4 decades, surviving addiction, illness, infidelity, and the constant spotlight of fame. Few relationships in rock history have weathered so many storms and emerged stronger. Their story began in the late 1960s when Sharon was just 18 years old, working for her father, Don Arden, a powerful music manager who represented Black Sabbath. Sharon's first impression of Ozzy and his bandmates was far from love at first sight. As she candidly recalled, was like, "Oh Lord, look at them." And they were all odd and hairy, and because I'd been used to dealing with artists that were American and they were slick and they were really put together and they smelt nice, suddenly these guys come in and they're hairy and they're very from the north of England and they don't look or dress like anything I've ever seen. And so I was very nervous of them. Everything changed when Sharon witnessed Black Sabbath perform live. The raw energy and authenticity captivated her in ways she never expected. I went to see their show that night with my father. They performed at this club in London, and I was so in awe of what I was seeing, Sharon explained. When I saw how electric it was and how different, I was like blown away. I was like, whoa! Their professional relationship transformed into something deeper in the late 1970s. In '79, we were working together, and it was '80 in 1980 that we started. It was we were working together, and it just became something else.